Hey ladies, we are live here in the Healing for Women Entrepreneur group. I am so excited about today's topic because it was actually something that was asked for by one of the new members in the group. So I'm super excited to talk about it. We are going to talk about soulmate clients and how to attract them. And so I am going to get into that here in just a few minutes. While everybody is getting on, I am going to refresh my page so that I can see comments and things. So what happens is sometimes I can see comments on my phone. Sometimes I can see comments on my laptop. Sometimes I see only comments on my laptop and not comments on my phone. So I pull both of them up so that I can see you and communicate with you and talk to you and do all these things. So if you're new to me, and if you're on, say hello. The more you engage, the more this is going to be better for you. So let me know if you can hear me. Let me know where you're dropping in from. This is your community. And so though, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them. I'm talking about soulmate clients, but if you're new to me, I am Angela. I'm the founder of AsFreeAsYouSee. I'm a breakthrough coach and healer of queens. And what I do, and I want to read this to you because we're actually going to talk about this in a few minutes, but I want to read this to you because I got it perfectly figured out, I think, okay? I help women entrepreneurs conquer childhood trauma, master their energy, and integrate so they can embody their purpose, thrive in their life's work, and fulfill their destiny. I read that to you because I seriously just blatantly figured it out probably yesterday. And this is something we're going to go in and talk to. But that is what I do. I have a background with trauma, obviously. I started when I was a child at 3 years old with sexual trauma. And then it just kind of went on from there. I don't think that the trauma in my life ever stopped until I was probably about 30 years old. I will be 35 next month. So I've had a lot of experience with trauma. I've spent probably about the last 5 years actually healing from it and actually integrating it. When I started my business, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, no idea. I had one business that absolutely failed. And then when that business was failing, AsFreeAsYouSee was actually born. And it was still like a roller coaster. I still had no idea what I was doing. I just kind of fit into the mold, right? I just fit into the mold with what other people were doing because that's what worked for them. And so I was just kind of going along with it until I unexpectedly got pregnant with my daughter and knew that if I didn't do something with my sexual trauma and healing it, that my life was going to turn upside down. And then that's what I did. And I just kind of, as I evolved with healing my sexual trauma, it just kind of went out into my business. I just kind of wrote about it and blogged about it and stuff like that. And then after she was born, I was certified in NLP, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, and life coaching. And then I decided that I was going to help women with trauma. And then I took a side turn because I got scared and I didn't want to share my story. I was deathly scared of sharing my story, especially with people that I knew that I had all this sexual trauma. And that's really what was going on with me. I was completely scared. And so I went around about and tried to help women who were in the corporate world, like feel successful and stuff like that. And it was so out of alignment for me. It was just so out of alignment for me. So I didn't do well with that. And then actually, I got called out about being a fraud and it totally triggered me. And then that's when I stepped into helping women with trauma. And since then, everything changed, totally and completely changed. I was calling in clients in my sleep. I was creating a sustainable income. And don't get me wrong, I have been in the feast and famine cycle and stuff like that. I totally 100% get it. But when I stepped into what I was really meant to do, that's when everything shifted and changed for me. But in the last few months, my business has actually shifted and changed again, so that I can help women entrepreneurs heal their childhood trauma so that they can have thriving businesses essentially. And just because I felt like that's what I was called to do, what you'll notice if you're new to me, what you'll notice is everything is about alignment. Everything is about intuition. And because as a trauma survivor, those things, they go out the window, right? Listening to yourself and trusting yourself, those totally and completely go out the window. So when I can listen to myself and I can trust myself, even if it doesn't go well, even if I don't make any money, even if I don't have an engagement or whatever the case may be, the fact that I listened to myself, the fact that I trusted myself is a huge win. And I encourage you to do that because I want you to feel like you are creating a business that you love, but it also comes from the soul. And there's a lot of intricate pieces that come into that to be able to make that happen. But right now we are just specifically talking about soulmate clients. I need to turn on my fan. So if you're on, let me know that you're on, say hello. Feel free to ask any questions while we are going through this. While we're going through this, so that this is the most beneficial for you. I encourage you to engage. Let me know that you can hear me because that's super important. But let's dive right into this because sometimes these take a little bit and I don't want to waste your time and I want to make sure that you can move on with whatever else you've got going on. So again, this was something that was asked by a new member. So I really hope that she sees it. Unfortunately, I don't remember her name, but I hope that she sees it and I hope that this really benefits her. But of course, I hope it benefits you all, of course, yes. So the first thing that you want to focus on is clarity, right? This is something that in the last week I've talked about in the group specifically. And you want to have clarity around your content and you want to have clarity around your transformational statement. So in case you are new and you have no idea what a transformational statement actually is, it is the thing that I read to you at the beginning, okay? So it's I help women entrepreneurs conquer childhood trauma, master their energy, and integrate so they can embody their purpose, thrive in their life's work, and fulfill their destiny. That is a transformational statement. You want to make sure that you have a transformational statement. Why do you want to make sure that you have a transformational statement? So that you see, if you're a part of other groups, they always ask, what kind of work are you in? What kind of work do you do? Or when people ask, or you're at a networking event and they're like, what do you do? You can literally give them this so that if somebody is scrolling and they essentially need your help, they can friend request you. They can come into your group. They can start a conversation with you. So you want to have that transformational statement piece. I am not going to go into how to create that today, but if you are interested in how to work that out, we can absolutely do that. Just let me know if that's something that you're interested in. You just can say yes below. And we can do like a transformational, a transformational statement workshop or something like that. I'm totally into that. So you want to make sure that you have that transformational statement, okay? And based off of your transformational statement, you're going to create content, you're going to create lead magnets, you're going to create programs based on your transformational statement so that it's streamlined, so that it goes all together, so that you know that this kind of fits with mastering your energy. This fits with conquering childhood trauma. This fits into, embodying your purpose, things like that. So that people know that when they come to you, this is exactly what they're getting from you. I know that we're still human, right? We're focused on being a business and we're still human. And of course we have these other interests like, pizza and jogging and whatever. Those are obviously some of mine, but we obviously have these other interests. The truth is that even though you have those other interests, your audience may not necessarily care. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't somehow intertwine those interests and make them part of your business. Absolutely not, right? Especially like with jogging and self-care, taking a bath or hiking or whatever, you can definitely, depending on your business, you can definitely make that happen. but your audience does not necessarily care. So your main focus is meant to be your content and your programs based on that transformational statement, so that other people have an idea of what to expect from you. And this way you create that know, like, and trust factor so that they feel like they can buy from you. Okay. So those are the two main things as far as strategy goes. Okay. As far as strategy goes, I will admit this. Okay. I am not an expert at content, and I'm not an expert at transformational statements. I've only done this from personal experience and where I'm at. And so, but I can definitely serve you and help you. And we can do like a free workshop on those things. If you feel like you really need help on that, just let me know. I don't mind talking about it and giving you information that I've picked up along the way. I've been in business for 5 years, and most of those years have been epically failing. So the last 2 years have not been failing. They've been sustainable and successful in my eyes. So I want you to know that, you can grow, you can evolve. This is possible. So make sure that you have a transformational statement that is absolutely clear and it is specific so that people know exactly what they're getting from you. You also want to make sure that you are creating content based on that transformational statement so people know what they're getting from you, right? So they have that know, like, and trust factor from you based on your content because it matches your transformational statement. All of that is clarity. All of that is huge clarity. Hi, Tina. Hi, Jennifer. How are you, ladies? I hope that you are having a great Friday. If you are just jumping on, we just talked about clarity around transformational statements and creating content based on that transformational statement. If transformational statement is new to you, I'm not exactly sure where everybody is at, so I want to touch base for everybody. I'm going to read to you my transformational statement so that you have an idea of what it is, so that you can create it in your business, so that you can then create content and programs and lead magnets based off of your transformational statement. Again, mine is I help women entrepreneurs conquer childhood trauma, master their energy, and integrate so they can embody their purpose, thrive in their life's work, and fulfill their destiny. So that's what my transformational statement is. I have a few more examples. I think they're in here that I can read to you so that you can get kind of an idea. Where did they go? Okay, so let me read a few others to them in case you don't have it or you're looking at yours and you want to analyze yours and see how it matches up. So there's another one that I picked up in some videos. Okay, so I'm a personal branding and camera confidence coach for entrepreneurs who need to grow their visibility and authority online. There's another one that says, I help creative entrepreneurs grow their personal brands online by helping them create memorable video content that increases their authority and influence. And then I'm an active YouTuber and personal branding coach who helps fellow multi-passionate creatives grow powerful personal brands that change their lives and business. And here's another one. And this is the last example that I have is I help professionals to hack their careers, overcome their limiting beliefs, and confidently create the extraordinary lives they deserve. So those are just some examples. And again, if you are interested in doing a transformational statement workshop, let me know and we can definitely do that. It will be free because again, that's not my area of expertise. More of the inner work is my area of expertise, but I want you to have a piece of the strategy so that you understand that there must be a strategy, but there also must be flow and love and inner work in your business as well, because they very much go together. The strategy is meant to call people in along with these other things that I'm going to get into that I feel like have helped me magnetize clients and grow my business. Before I shifted into this, actually, I had a group with with over 1,000 people in it. I think it was 1.4 or something like that. So people come in to you when you have clarity around your content and what it is that you're doing. But most importantly, you want to be aligned with your work, with your business, and what you are doing. I love that. Strategy and flow. Yes, I've had to learn that over the years, okay? I was always so focused before I healed, really. I was always so focused on strategy, and I never understood why I could never consistently show up with the strategy and do these things. And I would make excuses about the strategy doesn't work, even though I never did it consistently. And I didn't understand. I couldn't apply the strategy because I had limiting beliefs and blocks and trauma that was completely holding me back from showing up and consistently applying this strategy and having faith that it's going to work out. And so when I started healing, all of that other stuff started to shift for me. So I want to make sure that I touch on both. Okay, so you want to be aligned with your work and what it is that you're doing. If you are not aligned with what it is that you're doing, you will eventually burn out. And that's just the reality of it. I know that people push schedules and streamline and do all these things that it will work. Yes, absolutely. But in the long run, it is not sustainable. In the long run, something will eventually happen that will make you pump your brakes and make you realize that you have to pivot somehow. And it is because if your heart is not in what you're doing, you're eventually going to hate it. Okay. The money might be great. That piece of it might be great, but it will not be enough to sustain. And I know this because when I worked in my corporate job, I didn't necessarily liked what I was doing, but I loved the money, okay? I lived so comfortably from my corporate job, but eventually I burned out and hated it and wanted nothing to do with it. And they couldn't pay me enough for me to be there anymore. So eventually I obviously left. But those are the types of things that happen when we are not aligned with what it is that we're doing. And so you want to make sure that you come into alignment. And another reason why you want to make sure that you're in alignment is because things like fraud and imposter syndrome will show up. And I actually did that training series. One of the videos actually talks about imposter syndrome and dealing with feeling like a fraud. The reason why that happens is because we are not practicing what we're preaching, especially if we're like in a coaching business or we're doing a service-based business. But even so, if you're selling products like feminine hygiene and you're not using them yourself, you're going to feel like an imposter. You're going to feel like a fraud. And it's because you're actually not practicing what it is that you're teaching. And I say practice because it really is a practice, right? No matter what we like to believe, we are not perfect, okay? We are not perfect. Some days we do not embody everything that we teach, and that's completely okay. It's completely okay because our audience knows that we're human. We make mistakes. I do all the time. I have something so embarrassing, actually, I want to share with you. I have a daughter that's 3 years old, in case you're new to me. And I got into it with her father and then posted about it in another group and realized that I was triggered and that I took the bait. And I was like, oh my God. So I took it down because I felt embarrassed. And I was like, why did I do that? And it's because, well, I wasn't embodying what I was teaching about realizing that you're triggered, take a step back and hold space for yourself. And so I did that. And I just took it down and we just start over and it is what it is. But if you are not aligned with your business, things like imposter syndrome and burnout come into play. And we don't want that. If you are trying to beat that essentially, then you want to make sure that you're actually in a business that you're aligned with. Whatever your work is, you want to be aligned with it. And how do you know that you're aligned with it? Is that on the days that you want to give up, and because there's days like that, I have experienced them over and over again. On the days that you want to give up, you cry it out, whatever, you have a shitty day, and then you move on. And then you get back up and you start marching towards whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And that's how you know. If it's easy to give up and you just let it go, then it probably was not something that you're aligned with. Now, with that being said, if you are not healed, if you are not actively making sure that you have the capacity to feel safe all the time with what you're doing, then you're not going to know what alignment is. And I didn't understand that until I started to feel very much safe in my body and realizing how important it was to have a regulated nervous system. Because when you don't have a regulated nervous system, you're not showing up consistently, you're not selling, you're not connecting, you're like hiding, right? You like want to hide under your blankets and don't want to deal with anybody. And that's okay, those things happen, but it's about the ability to get back on track. And that's why the inner work in healing, especially if you have trauma, is so important, so that you can feel safe showing up consistently and feeling safe making mistakes, feeling safe not being perfect, and feeling safe taking up space, like fully 100%, saying things that are controversial, saying things that nobody else is talking about, right? Those are the things that you want to feel safe doing. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't have fear and you won't have looping thoughts and everything else, but you want to do those kinds of things because you have a story, you have opinions, and you want to be able to stand strong in those, but you don't if you're not healed, because if you're not healed, you don't know who you are, you don't know who what you stand for, and then that is going to actually, your clients are going to feel that. They just are, and I know because I've been there. I've been there. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're aligned with your business, and I wrote all of this down because I'm a tangent person. I go off on tangents all the time. So you want to make sure that you're aligned with your business. The next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you are embodying the energy that your soulmate clients desire. Now, that's going to be different for everybody, okay? So, and especially depending on what it is that you do, but you want to embody that energy. So that might mean that you are embodying confidence, you are embodying freedom, you're embodying safety, you're embodying being unstoppable and healed. What does that look like for you? What does that look like for your soulmate clients? And how can you figure this out? Is by asking yourself, or journaling. That's usually what I suggest. By journaling, what is it that you want your soulmate clients to experience while working with you? So hopefully I'll write it down so that we can put that in the comments. So what do you want your soulmate clients to experience while working with you? That way you have an idea of the energy that you want to embody every single day. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect every single day. There are going to be things that happen. Okay. At the beginning of the week, I had a sick child. There's no way I am necessarily embodying freedom when I'm laying in bed with my sick child, right? But also, in the same sense, it is freedom because I do get to work my own schedule and I do get to take care of her and be present for her, right? So, but you want to get very clear on what it is that you are meant to embody for, or what your clients want to embody as far as that energy goes, because this way you are actually magnetizing people to you, right? Because we know people don't necessarily buy your product or your service. They buy your lifestyle. They buy who you are and your story and the things that you've overcome and the emotions that you can convey in your content and what you can give to them. And they believe if you're embodying embodying this energy, they believe that they can also have that energy. So you want to make sure that you embody all of that. And so that might mean that you're working out more. That might mean that you get your hormones in check, right? Because a lot of us, when we're having a hard time with energy, and I've just actually learned this the last few months, and I didn't realize how bad it was. But when we are trying to embody energy, are trying to run a business all the time, and we feel off and we feel tired, especially if you're working one-to-one with clients, doing inner work, or working with one-to-one clients, period. But it is draining. And not that that's anything to do with the clients. It is a lot of energy to be focused in that 1 hour session or that 90-minute session, and it can potentially drain you. And what would happen is I would notice that I would be drained all the time. And it was actually because my hormones were out of whack. And so I had to start taking supplements again so that my hormones would come back into alignment. Sometimes we don't notice these things. We don't realize these things. And that's why it's so important to be healed from our trauma, because when we are healed from our trauma, we are present and in our bodies. And then we start to notice when we're off, when something's going on, when we're not feeling right. And then that way we can take care of this piece of it and then come back and show back up consistently. So you want to embody the energy your soulmate clients desire. And that looks completely different for me. It's going to look completely different for you and whoever else. Okay. How are we going? How are we doing so far? How are we doing so far? Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if this is resonating with you. I'd like to know. Okay. So the next one, and we kind of already talked about this, is you want to walk the talk, okay? And this is why we struggle with dealing with feeling like a fraud and imposter syndrome. We must make sure that we are walking the talk, because if we don't, one, people are going to know, but two, it's going to feel out of alignment for you. It's going to feel off. And I'll give you 2 stories. Yes, this is resonating with me. Okay, perfect. So before I started helping women with trauma, I don't even remember specifically what it is, but I was helping corporate women or something feel successful or some shit. I don't remember. Okay. And I don't remember because I hated it. I hated it so much. Anyway. And that's what I was doing. And I always felt off because I did not feel like I was successful. I had been in my corporate job, but I hadn't been necessarily in my business. So if I didn't feel successful, how was I supposed to help other women feel successful? I felt like a fraud, and I was trying to cover it up until my baby daddy called me out. And he said to me, the only successful thing that you have ever done was get knocked up by some dude that has a good job. You're a fraud, and everybody's gonna find out, and I hope that they do, and da 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 da. And I was totally and completely triggered. I was heartbroken, actually. And so, of course, I went out of work for a week. I didn't post. I didn't show up. I cried for an entire week. And then that's when I decided to step into working with women with trauma. And not that his comment wasn't really mean, because it absolutely was, but he was right. I felt like a fraud, and all he was doing was showing me where I needed to heal and where I needed to fix things, if you will. Okay. So I did. And that's when I started helping women with trauma, everything completely shifted. I mean, everything completely shifted. I think within the first month I had 3 clients, and I had never experienced that before in my life. So I knew that it was the right move. It just took that slap in the face, if you will, to shift. And sometimes we need that slap in the face, even though it hurt so bad. And I just remember I was crying in my room because I had sold my house. I had sold my house to sustain my business. And I had just bought a car because I had a bug, right? I had a bug, and me and my little child were in my bug, and she didn't fit. And so I was living with my mom. I had sold my house. I bought a new car, and then had to drop 10 grand to fight him to fight him in custody. And then this is the shit that he was telling me. So of course it hurt. It hurt. Oh my God, it hurt so bad. That's a lot to take in. I get that stuff, and that's work. I need to work on myself. Yeah. And we all do. Even I still need to work on myself, even though I've been doing it for years and years and years. The best part about inner work is that it's definitely a journey and it never ends. So we just got to embrace the journey, unfortunately. The next story that I want to give you about feeling out of alignment or feeling like a fraud actually just happened probably within this last year. So I just left a very toxic relationship in July. And I tried to hide it. Because me and my daughter moved in, and within a few months, I knew that this was not what I was meant to do or meant to be in this relationship at all. And I tried to make it work, and I tried to hide it from everybody. And I knew that I was trying to hide it from everybody because I was working women with trauma and literally helping women leave these kinds of relationships, not always, but sometimes, and letting them know that they can't be in these kinds of relationships because it's toxic to their healing. And I was in a relationship just like that. And so I tried to hide it. And so, of course, I was feeling like a fraud. I was feeling like I was out of alignment. And this is why when you are helping people, you want to make sure that you are practicing everything that you preach and that you walk the talk just as much as you talk about it. Because if you don't, you're going to feel off. It's going to be reflected in your business with money and with clients, because I did experience a huge drop with my clients. And then you want to make sure that you're an energetic match so that these types of things are not happening in your business, so that you are not experiencing a feast or famine cycle all the time. You're just riding it out in this feast, or maybe it's just sustainable, right? Whatever works, that's fine. Maybe we're starting off small, and that's completely okay. But when you are walking your talk, it's going to put that energy out there so that people are attracted and magnetized to you, so that you are working with soulmate clients that are ready to pay you in full. And if they can't pay you in full, maybe they're tipping you every single time that they make that payment. I've experienced that. I've had a client pay me in full and tip me. So it is possible for you to experience these things, but you want to make sure that you are in an alignment, in an energetic match for that to happen. So I hope we are good with that. You want to walk the talk. The next thing, and I just forgot about it. Shoot. Hopefully it comes back. The next thing that you want to do, I remembered what it was, sorry. Okay. The next thing that you want to get really comfortable and safe doing is share and be vulnerable. And I know that sometimes this isn't very easy, especially if you have a history of a shit show, basically. I mean, that's really putting it lightly. But if you have a history with trauma and with shame and abandonment and rejection and anything else that goes along in between that, narcissistic abuse, domestic violence, we get scared to share those things. We get scared to be vulnerable with people. And unfortunately, the best way to build connection and to build that know, like, and trust factor means that we have to be willing to open up about our lives, about our mistakes, about our past, about the things that we've been able to overcome to create connection. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm expecting you to share your juiciest secrets ever that you swore you were taking to the grave. Okay, I don't mean it like that. But I want you to share stories that will inspire other women or whoever you work with to take action, to work with you, to feel like they connect with you, to feel like you're speaking right to them. And in order to do that, that means that we have to share and be vulnerable. Not all the time, but definitely sometimes. And during those sometimes, they absolutely matter because you're letting your audience know that you have experienced these things and that you've done the work and this is how it's done and you can see it in my life. Like you are literally the living, breathing example of your own work. I am slowly starting to become more open with sharing. It's still very scary. It is. It's so scary. It's so scary. And I want to talk about this since you actually brought it up. It's not that and I've just learned this, it's so interesting. It's not that we are scared of being vulnerable, which I used to think, okay? I used to think that we were scared of being vulnerable, but it's actually not that. We are scared of the reaction to our vulnerability. So that means that we actually don't feel safe being vulnerable with other people. So it's not that we share. It's not that we say these vulnerable things. It's that we're scared of the reaction otherwise or afterwards, and whether or not we feel safe with that reaction or the comments or whatever the case is. So the more and more you work on feeling safe in your body, the more and more you feel comfortable with sharing these vulnerable things because you know that you're safe. You know that you can't be hurt. You know that you can't control other people and their reactions, and always that's a reflection of them. And I know that all of that is easier said than done. I 100% get that. But also vulnerable on top of that, we have to practice, right? Because sometimes no matter what you do, no matter the work that you put in, if you're not practicing being vulnerable, if you're not practicing showing up, then all of the inner work that you're attempting to do to bring your business up to par or attract soulmate clients doesn't even matter. You have to practice. It's all part of it. You have to practice. And I want you to know that if you are experiencing like little voices, fear-based voices, looping thoughts, your mind is like, you're going into overthinking, like right before you post something, post it, because that is what you were meant to do. And you know that because your mind is going wild and it feels completely unsafe, and it is definitely the post that you were meant to do. And be aware of that, because you will have your mind like going off on little tangents. No, go do the dishes before you post that. Go switch the laundry before you post that. And you go and do that because we've been taught that that's what we're supposed to do. But if you have this post that's going to blow everybody's mind and you're like, it feels so good, I'm writing this is going to piss people off, this is probably going to trigger people, but this is absolutely my truth, then I want you to focus on it and get it out there. You type it as fast as you can, and if you feel like you battle with perfectionists, don't even reread it and just put it out there. And those are the posts that you're actually meant to posts, because they come out of inspiration. They come in that energy. They're really downloads essentially, but they come through that way. And those are the posts that you're supposed to be doing, even though they are super scary. And I know because I've experienced that, where I used to battle like I needed to do the dishes and go clean something before I could post. And eventually I learned, and I would try to go back to it, and the momentum and the energy behind it was just not the same. And so I learned that the dishes can wait. And so I started focusing on posting, because essentially that's what's moving your business forward, is showing up and selling, of course. Okay. Jennifer, I 100% agree. Cool. I'm glad. And I know that it's really hard to regulate our nervous system. And that's what I work one-to-one with my clients with, is regulating that nervous system. But you can practice showing up every single day and making sure that you feel safe. Actually, let me post this meditation in here. I talk about this meditation all of the time. This meditation is specifically to reset and rewire your nervous system. if you're not in a position to work one-to-one, that's totally fine. I respect that. Let me drop that here so that you can have access to that meditation. I mean, it's public, but then that way if you are struggling with feeling safe, then you can listen to that meditation and then it will totally help you. I love that meditation. It's a replay of a live I did in one of the groups. So if you feel like you need that, then absolutely listen to it. Be aware that I am an energy healer. So if you listen to the meditations, it doesn't mean that stuff won't come up, okay? Stuff absolutely does come up with my meditations. Please take it as a good sign. If you feel exhausted, listen to your body and drink plenty of water. So I want you to be aware of that because, I don't want people to feel off when they're listening to my meditations and thinking that they're not working. They're working. OMG, that's me too. I feel so motivated to do all those little things when I'm supposed to do something bigger, and agree on those posts. It gets traction as opposed to overthinking those posts. Yes, absolutely. And we have to learn how to rewire ourselves to act based on that inspiration, right? You want the inspired action. That's how you manifest clients and do all of those things based on that inspired action, not based on I'm going to do the dishes and then come back to it, because it never works. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know. Being aware of it, I think, is what made me stop doing it. But I notice, like, even now, sometimes I deal with it and I'm like, why am I even overthinking this? And it's just because I follow this manifestation expert, I guess you will. Her name is Fiona Haven. And it's because we have these good girl avatars. And she says it's because we've been trained to be these good girls and go do all these things and not cuss and not speak up and stay quiet and be good. And then when we are writing posts that might potentially piss people off or trigger people or say what's really on our mind, that comes forward to try to protect us and keep us from being seen and heard, because we're trying to be a good girl because we've been conditioned into being good girls. Okay, sorry, my brother was calling me. Okay, so let's move on because we totally went into a tangent there, but that's okay. The last thing that I want to talk about, okay, I'm going to have to call him back. The last thing I want to talk about, and it's super important, is your ability to receive. This one I struggle with the most, okay? I can embody the energy, I can walk the talk most of the time, I can do the clarity piece, but it is the receiving piece that is the hardest piece for me. And it is the hardest piece because we have to let go of control, surrender, and lean back and trust ourselves and trust that our marketing and our content is clear and that people are coming to us, that we sit back in our divine feminine energy and allow what we're magnetizing to come to us. And that means that we must get really good at receiving. And sometimes it's so hard to feel comfortable receiving. And this is how you know if you feel comfortable with receiving. Do you take compliments well? Okay, if you don't take compliments well, that's an indication that you struggle with receiving. If people offer help and you say no, and then you're pissed off later that nobody is helping you, that's an indication that you struggle with receiving. If you're afraid to ask for help, that means that that's an indication for receiving, that you struggle with receiving. All of those things are big factors on whether or not you are in a position to receive. Oh my God, everybody, give me a second. I'm so sorry. Something must be going on because now my mom is messaging me. Anyway, family is so fun. So you want to make sure that you can receive, okay? This means that you lean back, you stay confident, you surrender, and you trust that what it is that you truly desire is coming to you. The money, the soulmate clients, the growing audience, whatever it is, okay? You trust that it's coming back to you. But that also means that you let go of control and grasping energy. That you let go of control and grasping energy. And the best way to do this is to get present. And you want to be present. For me, it's easier to be present with my children. I don't have children. I have one child. It's easier for me to be present with my child. So if you have children, go play with them, go do arts and crafts, go do whatever it is that they want to do. Be out in nature, take a walk without your phone if you can. Do those types of things that allow you to be present in your body, and that helps you lean back and stay focused on you and in the now instead of what's going on after you've been creating for hours or however long. You want to trust that your process and your madness, if you will, because that's what creativity is working for you. And when you trust that, it allows you to lean back, it allows you to receive so that you can attract soulmate clients. If we're always trying to control and put grasping energy out there, then our clients do not come to us because we are actually in our masculine energy and we're repelling them because we're not allowing them to receive. Feminine energy is about receiving, masculine energy is about doing. And so you want to make sure that you have a balance of both. This is why healing from trauma is important. But you want to make sure that you have a balance of both so you can do the inspired action, but also so that you can lean back and allow yourself to receive. Okay. Let me know if this is resonating with you. I got to message my mom back. I never knew in all my life that if my phone wasn't on, that I'd be able to get connected somewhere else. Oh man. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about the content that I just shared, and I'll go over it and review. Remember that you want to have clarity around your transformational statement. And again, if you need help with a transformational statement, just let me know and I'll host a workshop. You want to make sure that based on that transformational statement that you're creating content around that transformational statement. Not only is it content, but you're also going to do like programs and products and whatever else, right? You also want to make sure that you are aligned with your work, because if you're not, that creates burnout and imposter syndrome. You want to embody the energy that your soulmate clients desire so that you can magnetize them to you. And you want to, of course, be healed. I talked about that the entire time. You want to walk the talk. If you're not walking what it is that you're preaching, then, people are going to read that and you're going to feel off and it's going to feel icky. So you want to make sure that you are definitely walking the talk, because that is so important. And if you don't, it will drive your business down. And it's not something that you do necessarily purposely, but it's just because your energy is off, and then people know that. And you want to share and be vulnerable, which I know is so much easier said than done, but you want to make sure that you're practicing that. And you want to make sure that you are allowing yourself to receive. So that means that you let go of control and you lean back so that you can call in and manifest the clients that you truly want. And we're talking about soulmate clients. We're talking about the ideal clients, like clients, that show up on time, they never reschedule, they do all the work, they pay in full, they tip you, whatever the case may be, right? I don't want you to go into the trap that only soulmate clients pay you in full. I don't like when people say that, because that's not true, okay? And I've experienced that because I've had a few clients pay me in payments who tipped me, or the thought that they were going to do the payment system and then paid the deposit and then paid the rest, right? So I don't want you to feel like only soulmate clients pay in full. That is not true. That is just not true. So I want you to not attach to that and determine whether or not you have soulmate clients based on that. Please don't think that. But this is what you can do right now to attract soulmate clients into your life, into your business, so that you can thrive, and also so that you have people engaging, so that you love what you do, right? Because when people aren't engaging, when you feel like, you know, things aren't going well, it's not fun. So this is about being able to create fun and feel good about what it is that you're doing. What I'm going to do right now, if you were interested in like a mindset shift, if you're interested in inner child healing, more meditations that I create, and a healing money course that I actually just created and just put out, I'm going to leave the link there for that. There are courses in there at all price ranges with all pricing options, so that I help any woman at any budget, because I know what it's like to want to invest and not be in a position to, because the payment plan is not available. So if you are interested in healing more and shifting your mindset more and diving deeper into that, or healing money stories, or having access to more meditations, check that out. You are welcome to do that. But this is what I have for you. If we do not have any questions, I know that there's a delay, so I'll slow down and let you guys ask questions. You can ask questions about anything. I am going to start opening up my calendar for the beginning of January to do a 12-week alignment mastery. It is going to be my signature 8-week healing program with 4 weeks of diving deep into your purpose and your life's work, and helping you create clarity around what it is that you're doing. If you're interested in that, you can always ask me for details, but I'm not going to open up my calendar until January, because if you've been following me, you know, but my babysitter quit. How long has it been now? I think 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. So I only have one that comes on Friday, and it's just not enough time to like make things work. So I'm going to open it back up in January. If you are interested in doing that, please let me know. I will hold space if that's what you want to do. But if there are not any questions, I am going to love you and leave you. I hope that you have a great day and a beautiful weekend. And if you have any questions or anything comes up, please feel free to post in the group and tag me. For whatever reason, I am not seeing any post or get notifications, anything that goes on in my group. So please tag me. But also please note that you're allowed to promote and post in my group. Just please promote in a very valuable way and not in a spam way, right? I want people to feel like they're getting something from it. I want you to feel like you're getting something from it as well. So feel free to do that. But that's what I have for you. I hope that you have a great day, and I will see you all later. Bye.